Welcome to the Cynical Marketers podcast, where the greatest minds in marketing, we think, discuss marketing for an audience of several. And now, your hosts, Mike and Nada. Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of the Cynical Marketers. We are happy to have you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are growing slowly but surely. It's been exciting.
Baby steps. It's been a lot of fun though. It's been great doing this. It's been a lot of fun.
We launched on New Year's Day, 2025. So we're not very far into this.
We're getting
we're
there.
Still rookies. So
Very
we
much
appreciate people who have given us an early listen. You early fans, in a couple of years when we're like Joe Rogan size, everyone's going to be like, you're going to tell all your friends like, oh, I knew those people.
I listened to their first few episodes. It was the first.
Yeah, now it's cool to like Cynical Marketers now. I knew them before it was cool.
Yeah. Lance will have complete ownership of that statement.
Bragging rights for sure. Lance and Matt.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
what
you guys.
What are we talking about today, Mike?
Influencer marketing.
Your favorite.
My favorite subjects. I have been
Absolutely.
pushing this.
Yeah, Mike has a lot to say on this subject, but it's good though. So you should stick around for it.
If you're a business, and I am sure you have seen people talking about it, and maybe you're thinking like, I got to get into influencer marketing. It's all the rage. Everyone says influencer marketing, influencer marketing. Should you? Should you get into influencer marketing? No, I say.
I was going to say it depends, but I wanted to give Mike a moment to say what he has to say.
Look, yes, you are right. It depends. Overall, I believe we are past peak influencer now. I think we're on the downward side of the popularity and usefulness of this. Okay. Except in a couple of cases. There are cases where this works, but it's mostly consumer product. I think it works in consumer products, especially those targeted at women. So makeup stuff, it works very well. And then in tech products, it still works exceedingly well. But everyone else, if you're out there, you're an accounting firm and you think, how do I get into influencer marketing? Don't.
You don't. No, in that case, you don't, right? But I think you are not wrong about the peak influencer time. I think we're getting to a point where everybody has become an influencer that is selling something, especially on TikTok. It has become absolute insanity when everybody is trying to sell you something. Every post, every other post, and I think it's arguable if it actually works, but I'm burnt out from watching it.
I'm curious. And this is something, so I have my own separate channel that I do pop culture stuff on. So I watch pop culture very closely. And this is one of the signals for me is on social media. There are accounts now that have grown that have millions of likes on them who their whole thing is just making fun of influencers.
Right.
They do mock influencer voice, come with me as we try New York City's hottest new. And, there's a woman out there who just doesn't even use real words. She just like, huge account.
Y'all, Mike has very strong
feelings. When pop culture starts to turn on something, then it's a sign. The other signal is B2B marketers have found it. Once B2B marketing has found anything, that means it's over. It's done. They lag behind. B2B lags behind consumer product marketing. Then they'll find it 3 years later and they're like, look at our new idea. But you see this on LinkedIn now that B2B is using influencers. And then also like B2B, they always think rules don't apply to them.
Yeah.
So all of their influencers don't disclose it.
It's interesting to me though, like I think that there's still some effectiveness to it, to be fair. And I think, from what I've seen, it's a lot of businesses are gravitating towards smaller accounts. I think in the past, it used to be like, hey, if you built a certain number of followers, you've got like 1 million followers, great, you're Kim Kardashian, whatever, and we'll pay you to promote these things. But I think businesses have started to niche down. So they've started to really find like the micro influencers, right? Those folks that have enough of a following, but not an overwhelming amount where it's just noise and they're promoting everything, right? Because that's another thing that happens is like once you become, influential to a certain extent, right? Everybody wants to give you things to promote. And then you're just since you're getting paid, you're promoting everything.
You're
And so I
just a
think the
chill.
businesses, businesses are just starting to get away
Businesses
from
make
that, I think.
mistakes with those kinds. And I think here's some of the big mistakes. And I've done influencer, and back before it was called influencers, we called them brand ambassadors,
Right.
And then, spokesmen or spokesmodels before even brand ambassadors. This is not a new thing.
Right.
These are, Hollywood stars who have endorsed products. Those were influencers, but different name. When you try to go for those big ones too, right? Some of the things businesses make mistakes on, and why they do it wrong is they look at following size, and they think, oh, they've got 1 million followers. But in the influencer world, a lot of things are cheated now because there's so much money that can be made. So following can be cheated, engagement. You really like for you to choose
vanity metrics, really.
You really got to dig into them and look, and don't just go off their metrics that they give you. You can't trust any of that.
Well, because now
really into them.
Yeah, now you can buy not just followers. In the past, it used to be you can buy followers. Now you can buy comments, you can buy shares, you can buy saves of, there are services for that. So you really, you have to look at those as just sort of vanity metrics,
another reason that this is now becoming a problem because of the pop-up of influencer agencies who are out there.
Right.
And they're just marketing agencies who just manage influencers. And then there's so much money to be made too. They make alt accounts. And this is something we used to do back in the old days of the internet and blogging. You used to make alt accounts on social media so that you could, when you posted a blog post, you would go and like it, and you'd use a VPN so that you came in from different states and areas. There were things that we used to do. None of this is new, right? But now there's so much money to be made in it, and you see it, but this is where you have to pay attention, and business owners don't have the time to pay that kind of attention. They're going to look at an influencer and they're like, well, we sell makeup products, to younger women. So I'm looking for an influencer who's a younger woman who's into makeup. She's got 1 million followers. Yes, but did you go look at her stuff? She has 1 million followers, but her last 30 posts got 2 likes on them.
Right.
Or if you go and look and you go look at the comments, you can just see their bot comments like, love this, love this, love this, love this, and you're like,
right.
That's where you have to dig into it. And that's where I'm saying too, because of the amount of cheating that goes on out there. And, what we used to do back when they were brand ambassadors, there was always an affiliate link so that you really could track the effectiveness.
I think some of that.
Yeah, discount codes even before that, right? You used to hear on a radio ad, use code blah, blah to purchase. That's how they would measure the effectiveness of a radio ad. Influencers do not want to have any links. They do not want to use affiliate links. So it takes away from our authenticity. It also takes away from tracking the effectiveness.
Yeah, I was going to say, but then you have no idea what your ROI is, right? So if you need to know, businesses, you need to know what your ROI is on every marketing effort, right? So the affiliate link is a must, I would argue.
I think so. In the narrow use cases for me for influencers, and I've seen some brands on TikTok doing this that I thought, I'm like, this is a legit strategy, and I get it. You have to be a consumer product, and you've got to be at impulse purchase level. So $30 or less. Yeah. And then if you don't already have your own audience, if you're newer into the business, you don't have an audience of your own yet.
Yeah.
Influencers are a way for you then to reach people. Because if you're a consumer product and you're an impulse purchase, your goal is just to be seen by as many people as you can. Influencers can help you very quickly reach a larger audience, a far larger audience than you can yourself. And probably more effectively than, because an influencer campaign is going to cost you money. If you took that money and turned it into ads, probably not as effective. If you're newer, people don't know who you are, you get some more authenticity through that influencer. As long as you're choosing the right ones who just aren't just massive shills, and that every post of theirs is some other product that they now love. You got to be really careful with it. But that's a very specific use case for me for a small business that it might make sense for.
Yeah. And I think that's an excellent point, Mike, with the impulse purchase, dollar range. I think that's the important one, because if you are in that, AOV that's like $20 to $30 and you are really truly an impulse purchase, then yeah, you can go after as many views as you can, right? But if you're a higher priced product, if you're a service, certainly that's not going to work,
I do not understand the B2B influencer thing. And I've seen some folks that I know are doing it on LinkedIn, and I don't get it.
I don't either.
If I have been CMO, right, at a pretty decent sized organization, we made some enterprise purchases. If I had an employee come to me with a product recommendation, like, hey, we need to use this. Okay. Yeah. Why?
Right.
I saw this really cool guy on LinkedIn talking about it. Like, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's why we're going to pay for this crazy expensive SaaS product. Like, I do not get it on the B2B side, frankly. These are expensive purchases. They usually have a longer purchase cycle. There are many people in on a purchase decision on things like that. There's not one person that you're just going to influence with this, post from this LinkedIn thought leader.
Right.
And then you're going to go tell those people that this is how you heard about it. Like, and then I'm supposed to be like, okay. Yeah. Okay. I know we'll sign this 6-figure multi-year contract.
No, that is not happening.
Your favorite blogger posted about it.
That is really definitely not happening.
I don't get that, the B2B side.
Yeah, I don't get it.
That's where they're like, I don't know, consumer products were doing it, so we should too.
That's how it's starting to go on a downward trend. That's it.
Because it's still about the purchase behavior, the psychology of the purchase. Why do people need your product? What do they use it for? How much does it cost?
Right.
All of those things you're thinking about,
Yeah, I mean, I think that influencers should be part of your marketing funnel, but they're definitely should not be your only or like your major funnel. Like, you have to have a strategy and really just be conscious of who are the influencers that you're choosing, like
you really gotta, and I'll be frank with you too. If you're going to do it, then you need to just chalk that up to that you're doing really a brand awareness campaign.
Yeah.
That's expect fair. An immediate ROI on this.
Yeah.
You'll be disappointed. Maybe you get one. And if you made the right choices on some of your influencers who it connected and they do this the right way, because you're really not going to have much control either. That's, the influencers. This is when I got out of the game several years ago, because I just think they're crazy on what they ask for now. The ask side from the influencers and their rates, just like, what?
Yeah.
I mean,
it can be crazy expensive to use influencers.
I mean, I think they're just out of control now. And there's all these influencer coaches who tell people, like, here's your rates that you should be charging, and it's based on your followers and stuff. And you're like, back when, in my grunt style days, we worked with some very big, we worked with like actual known people in some cases, but we did some influencer stuff too with some very large social media pages. And the good thing, like, there's this one I remember for sure. They were a drink recipe page. I'm not going to name this person. I don't even know if they exist, but they were repped by, I think they were CAA. So they were big enough. They had actual agency. I think CAA, because I think CAA was a leader in opening up. They had to ask for influencer representation. So it was a breath of fresh air to actually deal with an agent. Actually, people might think that's a pain, but you're like, no.
It's easier.
I love to deal with the agents instead, because agents understand this is a business transaction.
Right.
And both people have to benefit or there's no relationship.
Right.
When you're dealing with just one of these influencers, though, they don't get that. They don't care. It's out of hand.
Do you think, Mike, that we had that, you had mentioned ambassadors, right? When you had worked with ambassadors, that was always more of like a longer term partnership, right? And really you use those folks not just for acquisition, but for retention efforts as well. Do you see the influencer trends starting to kind of go back to that at all?
No.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. And it might be something that's beneficial to brands to think about, actually. And that's a heck of a point, because everything is cyclical in marketing and sales and pop culture, right? Like there's nothing new. Everything millennials, Gen Z think everything is new. And like I said, I've named 6 different names of what influencers used to be called.
Yeah.
But boy, that's a good point. Could it go back to that? When you think about what an influencer got into this game for, I don't know that any of them want to be tied down to one brand.
Right.
Because they didn't start a channel and build a following to not get paid, right? That's the whole reason they're in it. And I think they like the idea of staying free agent.
Right.
So that they can take any brand deals. They don't want to be tied down. And being a brand ambassador doesn't even tie you down, right? Like we had brand ambassadors who, like in our category,
right,
they worked with us,
right,
in streetwear and casual clothing. But then they had like a boot deal with somebody or a shoe deal with somebody else, right? Like, you know, so it doesn't necessarily, but man, that's a good point.
Yeah. That's
a good strategy.
It just made me, I thought of that as you were talking about the ambassador side of things. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah.
Now it's making me think, because we have a client of ours that we're working with right now that is entering into this influencer. He's beginning a new campaign on an influencer strategy. So one of our current clients has never done it and is just dipping his toe into this. And now I'm thinking like, hey, I got a good idea.
Y'all, I think we stumped Mike today. That never happens. Now I feel like we're going to have another episode come out of this.
Man, really, like, and you know, I love the idea for anything in marketing. What I've done always through in my career, I don't know, a decade or so doing this, really, when everybody's doing this, pivot to this.
Yeah.
I have had a knack of knowing when to pivot.
That is true.
And to move out of something everyone's doing and now pivot into this thing. So
I feel like I can vouch for that, you guys.
If anyone ever sees a new thing come back or brand ambassadors come back, know this. It was 100% my idea.
100%. Mike gets credit. He'll win another Mike Burt is Awesome award this year.
Third. That would be a third.
That would
I've already won 2 Mike Burt is Awesome awards. It's almost time.
I think it's time for it again this year.
But we'll see. Tight campaign this year, I think. We'll see who the nominees are, but tight campaign. So, I mean, that's influencers, everybody. I know it's very popular right now, and there's a lot of people who want to do it. And I do think there are some use cases for it, but you got to be really careful. And, you know, for most businesses, it just doesn't make sense. And if you're just going to dip your toe in it, you're probably not going to be happy with the results. You really need to think about it as a long-term strategy and constant repetition too. Like you need to go back. An influencer mentioning you one time, 2 times, 3, those aren't enough, right? So be careful, structure your deals.
Yeah.
And you're probably not used to negotiating deals with people on this. If you're a business owner, this is not something you're used to doing.
Yeah. If you need to get some help, don't just look at vanity metrics and make deals, for sure. I think that's our takeaway. Just be conscious of this being just part of your funnel, really.
It's a thing, right? And it can be useful, but be careful. So,
yeah.
All right. Hey, let us know, folks, if you out there have you used influencers. Are you an influencer?
Yeah.
If you're an influencer and you still made it to the end of this after what I've been saying, I would be impressed.
Come to the podcast. Let us know if you are, and then come to the podcast.
If you're an influencer and you do this and you want to be a guest, let us know. We would love to have you on and you can talk about this.
Absolutely.
You know, would love to hear from you. I can't imagine you're still here. Almost 20 minutes in, though. I don't think you're still here right now.
Let's be positive, Mike.
Great. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Another amazing episode of Cynical Marketers. Don't forget,
next time.
Find us on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube watching us and you want to listen in the car, you can find us on Spotify. And if you want to see not as lovely face and then put up with mine, you can watch us on YouTube.
There you go.
So there's places to find us. And don't forget, you can head to the Cynical Marketer website and you can find us on TikTok and Instagram too. Lots of places, you know. We're marketers. We're going to be everywhere.
Yeah, true story.
We're trying to be everywhere. Be sure to find us.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it. We'll see you next week, everybody.